Good afternoon, everyone. On this last day of September 2021, oh my goodness, I'm Mayor Diana Broderson. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to our city. I can't believe September is over after today, but there's starting to be a crispness in the air, even though it's been a little bit warm this year, but a lot to look forward to in our last 3 months of 2021. We have today is the last our city show of the month as well, and so we'll have our Grandview Revitalization Project update. But before we get to that, just a couple of quick announcements. Good news and bad news on the COVID front. We're up to 6,537 positive cases in the city of Muscatine, with 122 new ones since last week. But the week before we had 200 and some new ones, so that part's a little bit better. However, we did lose two people in Muscatine County to COVID this week. So prayers for their families. And unfortunately, 81 folks lost their lives in the state of Iowa this past week. So we've still got work to do. Keep watching for public health information so that we can try to get this behind us and move forward as best as we possibly can. We do have some exciting news. Tomorrow is a ribbon cutting at Curry's new addition called Car Quest, and it's going to be selling auto parts. They're down in their location on Highway 61 South. It's going to be at noon, and anybody is welcome to come for the ribbon cutting. But then Saturday is their big grand opening starting at 10 a.m. They're going to have food, drinks, a car show. It looks to be a great time. They have been a wonderful business to Muscatine right here, and I know a lot of folks will be excited to see some of the new things that they have coming. So if you have a chance to stop down there this weekend, I'm sure they would really enjoy it. Welcome today to Councilwomen Nadine Brockert and Peggy Gordon. We're glad they're with us today. They work tirelessly practically every day on the Grandview Revitalization Project. There's something going on. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
I'm so glad you guys are here. Boy, you know, when we first were getting started on the Grandview Revitalization Project, it was a little bit slower, but boy, things have really ramped up, and we knew that was going to happen, didn't we?
Yes, yeah. We did.
I was at lunch today with a friend of mine, and as I'm walking out the door, two ladies said, "Mayor, Mayor." So I walked back, and they said, "So tell us about Grandview, and when are the roads going to be open?" And so I tried to give the skinny on it, but we did hear from Brian Steinman, our Public Works Director, that they're hoping by winter to have traffic flowing both ways down on Grandview. And won't that be nice again?
That'll be exciting.
Yes, it will.
It will. So there are, just to get us started on the update, we have 5 pillars. Is that correct?
Yes.
And one of them is the reconstruction. So that's not all there is to it. There's a lot more. And I know Chad's going to be bringing us up some photos of the 5 pillars. But did you guys is that where you guys wanted to start, working your way through the pillars? Or what do you think?
Sure. I'll start with reconstruction.
Oh, great.
Progress has been slow, as we all know. It's supply chain issues, finding things that were not expected whatsoever. Right now, they are paving the outside 2 lanes, the lanes that have been torn up all summer, up to Franklin Street. That is ongoing as we speak. And then there's a water main test at Pearl Street. And when that water main passes, then they will back the concrete up and then go up toward Pearl Street and pave that as well. There will be other water mains to test and verify that they will hold pressure and they won't leak. So once all that is completed, they'll pave up to Main Street, which is just the block north of Pearl.
Oh, sure.
There will be a full closure in October at White and Day intersections, which is just south of the tracks on Grandview, so that we can get that whole area paved in preparation for end of work this year. So we are hoping that we don't run into anything else, but if we do, we will overcome and make do the best we can.
Now, White and Day, that's right by those railroad tracks and by Happy Joe's, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Day Street is the street that goes over the tracks just behind Reeves Battery.
Okay, that's right. But, you know, I think it's been amazing as they've been working through this, that things have still been able to be navigable, if that's a word.
Navigable?
Yes. Last night when we went down to Taylor's, and I know we're going to talk about that more, when I left there, I called and ordered a pizza from Happy Joe's for supper to take home. And you can still make it through there. I mean, you might have to do a little bit of dancing around, but they've done a great job being able to keep traffic flow to the businesses, even though it's a little awkward. You can make it.
Right. And what we're asking now, since we are paving those 2 lanes in order to be able to have two-way traffic through there this winter, we are asking that people not devise their own detours, but follow the ones the city has set out, because we certainly don't need any accidents or anything untoward to happen while we are in the process of paving and curing the concrete.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
everyone's cooperation is requested and greatly appreciated.
And I think people are doing a really good job of trying to be patient throughout this. And I know when you're in a hurry, you know, your patience can wear thin, but for the most part, I think people are doing a great job of being respectful and taking their time, planning on leaving a little bit earlier. And certainly, you know, the railroads doing a better job of not holding up traffic. That kind of helps to keep the flow moving. So yeah, I think we'll all be glad when the reconstruction part is over, but Oregon's open, and that's a huge. So you can get from south, and I did this yesterday. You can get from over by Salvation Army, and you can go straight on through Oregon and go up and get over on Bond, and then go around by Pete's Tap, and then, or Pete's Grill and Tap, and go on up. And go up Fletcher Hill, and bing, you're right up there, straight shooting. So it can be done.
Yes, it can.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to point out what Nadine said is somebody had asked on Facebook the other day, why is it taking so long? Because I think everybody thought it was a simple asphalt, you know, just sort of putting down new asphalt or new concrete, and it's not. This is a very complex infrastructure. I mean, what it took them at Oregon, and you talk about water main testing and stuff. So there's a lot of things that people don't realize, and now we'll start tying into the driveways, you know, and the sidewalks that'll be down there. So, and I don't know if they'll be in this year or next, but it's a major road reconstruction. It's not just we're paving over existing.
Not just repair. This is rebuild from the dirt up.
Yeah.
Right.
And who knew that old pipe and new pipe wouldn't play well together? And you had
what we find, complete LP tank buried, and trees and all kinds of things. I won't be surprised if we don't find a car under there.
That's next. We found a tank and old wood and other things that, you know, you have to dig down a little deeper in order to get to the proper road bed. And so we need a little extra fill to go in on top of that we weren't anticipating.
It'll be
no way to know.
The concrete this week start. And then I'd also recommend, especially on the business owners or the residents that are directly impacted, you know, Pat Lynch and his group from Public Works are having that meeting on Friday mornings, at least for now. Who knows in the winter? At 9 o'clock at the old Taco John's location. I know, Nadine, you go frequently. But if you want the real scoop, go to those meetings if you can, or check on the website. But they're willing to answer your questions. And that's what's so great. They're really trying to communicate.
And you'll get the answers in real time. I mean, right then and there. And Brian said too, you know, if you're working and that time doesn't matter, just call Public Works and they'll come meet with you at a different time and explain the whole process and where they're at and what's next. And I mean, Brian is really good about, and Pat is amazing at what they do, but they're really good about giving us their best guess for time. But there is absolutely no way that you can ever know exactly until you get in there and you know, weather and all different kinds of things. Just like when you go to get your car done or you go take yourself to the doctor or something, there's no way of knowing how long is it really going to take. You can guess, but
right.
This try to be graceful about not holding them to every exact time frame.
Yes, this is like an HGTV episode on resurrecting a street. You know, Hillary always runs into things. The Property Brothers always run into things that they always seem to make it look just absolutely gorgeous. And
don't they? Yeah.
We are anticipating the same result with our street.
Absolutely.
Glad we didn't pitch it to HGTV.
Yeah. That would have been nice. So what's the next pillar?
Well, we have a lot. I mean, like you said, this week's been very, very busy. The more exciting one, I think, is the recreation pillar.
Oh, yes.
And that sort of kicked off yesterday because we've been sort of, you know, like, oh, things are coming. But yesterday, the Parks and Rec Department had an open house at Taylor Park to show some of their projects that are going to be happening between now and next summer. I mean, they've got a very aggressive timeline. So we've added them now officially to our Gantt chart so we can at least see that there's things going to be happening at Taylor Park, Musser Park, some connection from Kent Stein, Sunset. So there's a lot going on, and that was really exciting. I know all three of us were there at different times. But do you want to touch on some of the cool stuff going on down there, since it's in the 4th Ward and it's really exciting?
Yes, it is. New and big improvements and new elements at Taylor Park. Some enhancements at Kent Stein, others at Musser. So we are very excited about all of the shelters and the new amenities and other things that we hope to be able to add to our parks in the 4th Ward.
Well, they've finally given us permission to share publicly what some of the plans are. So that part's really nice. I think we've been waiting on a second splash pad for a long time. And to have a splash pad down at Taylor Park is going to be so nice for the kids all summer long. I can't imagine how busy it's going to be, because I think the kids are just going to love it and be hanging out there all the time. And another shelter. And I think it's so neat. All of the little, did you see all the little icons for the tables with the umbrellas over them? For the folks to be able to sit and, you know, have an iced tea or a pop or a coffee and sit and watch the kids or grandkids sit there and play. It's going to be comfortable for the adults as well as the kids. And I think that's neat.
Well, they're also adding parking there. I mean, you don't think that's not the fun, cool part, but it's the critical part, because you can't put a splash pad and have, you know, they've got 24 parking spots proposed and another 4 over on the other side. So there's going to be a place to pull off and actually spend a little time and enjoy, whether you're at the splash pad or the new pickleball court.
Yes. Oh, that's another thing. People have been waiting forever for this pickleball court, you know, and we have a lot of folks in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and even youngsters, you know, that are playing pickleball. And what I think is really going to be neat about Taylor Park when this is all said and done is you're going to have the adults and you're going to have the kids, and they're going to be together having fun. And I think that's going to be so neat. So it's not the adults, you know, at one facility and then the kids at another, because we're all part of a community. So let's recreate together. And I love that concept.
Yes, not only that, but parking has been an issue, especially on Bond Street with the patrons over at Pete's Grill and Tap.
Sure. Well, and what is nice too, Peggy alluded to it a little bit, that there's going to be the 24 parking spaces put up there. kind of just right across from the tornado siren, if you can picture that.
Mhm.
And then over on the other side, on the west side, is going to be 4 handicap spots. Because this is all going to be handicapped accessible. ADA is it's all going to be approved. And there'll even be playground equipment for youth that need to have accessibility. And I think that's something we've talked about for years also, is making sure that our playgrounds are for people with and children with all abilities. And I think that's amazing that we're able to add that in.
And some of that, so that'll be at Taylor, and then some of the accessible or inclusive, park equipment is also going to be at Musser.
Right.
Mhm.
So, and then a little better connectivity over there. And like I said, they're doing some trail improvements near Kent Stein to Sunset, so the residents there can easily and quickly get over to Kent Stein or to the parks. So once again, if we think about the Grandview area, it's our recreational hub a lot. And now we're just sort of now bringing it into the neighborhood as opposed to always being on Hauser type or down on Oregon. So we don't have the renderings. They gave us great placeholders, and they're going to meet next Wednesday and show them to the Parks and Rec Commission. People that want to volunteer. There's all these great commissions in the city. Parks and Rec is one of them.
Yep.
And then we get to see it officially at council on Thursday. And then I would imagine over the next few months, we'll see even better renderings. Like everybody's going to say, what's the splash pad going to look like? I know it looks like a big circle right now on the plan. But as they develop, and they're repurposing some stuff. It was really cool when Rich and Nick told me that one of the shelters that they're currently using by Kent Stein, they're going to replace it with 2 and take that shelter and put it at the golf course because it's been missing a shelter. So they're taking the big picture look, and they're doing a great job.
And they did this, Rich's team did this same thing when we approved the finances to fix up the restrooms up at the top of Weed Park.
Yes.
He did it in such a way where he got some kind of a way to get one of those drop-in restrooms, and so the price was where we could get 2 for 1. I mean, they're so good at that.
Yeah, and that's another thing they're adding.
Stretch. Pardon me.
Remember, that's another thing they're adding at Taylor.
Is a restroom.
Yes.
You got the splash pad and the pickleball and stuff. So
yeah,
on the recreation side, there's a lot going on that pillar finally that can be announced. So, we've got our chart that we're going to start using and stuff. And now we can sort of see that between now and next summer, there's going to be some activity at each one of these locations in the Grandview corridor. And like we've always said, it's not just the street. Reconstruction is sort of behind the street. So one of the big ones behind the street on this one.
Yes.
It really is. It really is. And this, I think, really gives people the vision that it's not just the streets being redone, but it's the entire neighborhoods. Because playgrounds are neighborhoods.
Yes.
All of those folks coming there. And I think these are going to be so fabulous. People are going to come from all over the city to use them. Pickleball, they'll come from everywhere. Yeah.
I'm going to have to play.
Yes.
I'll have to learn.
I need to learn too. I played tennis in high school, and this just looks so fun. And they play here at the Y too, and so I see them, and they all just have. And I've always loved badminton and volleyball. So you take tennis, badminton, and volleyball, and you've got pickleball basically.
Awesome.
So I know I would love it. We're gonna have to start a team.
There you go.
That works.
Yep.
So that was the big excitement on that pillar this week, and that happened yesterday, and you'll start seeing more information.
So that was reconstruction and recreation. What's next?
Business.
Business.
Yep. We had 2 meetings on Tuesday this week, one at 8:30 at the Salvation Army and one at 5:30 at the Rose Bowl. We had some business owners come out, express their concerns, what they really want, and we had a chance to present to them what we envisioned, and we got a lot of good positive feedback. And I think it left them with the impression that city does care. City is willing to work with you and do whatever is needed to improve the business facades and access and everything else that they need to promote their businesses and be more successful, in addition to bringing in new businesses.
I think that has been, a critical point that has been started from the beginning on this revitalization project, because oftentimes I think it's easy for people to overlook the businesses that are already there and just talk about all the new ones that we want. But being that support to the current businesses is critical. Because even the new ones that we get, if they don't get the support, they're not going to stay.
No,
and so we've got to reach out to them and figure out ways that we can help them be more successful, because when they succeed, we do too.
Yeah. Well, and as a general reminder, support those businesses, just because it might be a little difficult to get there, like Happy Joe's or Redberry, or Cherry Top's closed for the season now, but make the effort to support them. Chamberlain's, I go to my vet down there. So remember, Harper's, make sure that you still support them, just because it might be difficult to get there. But like Nadine said, we had a good turnout. I think we've got some more work to do, but the conversations we had were great and diverse. And we need to learn. So it was run by Jody from our community development department, and she used the heart and soul format, or trying to. Yeah, and we're just trying to hear what they need so we can help develop some programs for them. And it's not going to be the same for everybody.
No.
They all don't fit that model. So we'll have more. We've got more work to do there. But it was a good first start. We checked off. We had our, like Nadine said, 8:30 and 5:30, and then the city administrator was there in the afternoon, and she was taking notes. And so, I mean, it's ears wide open right now.
Oh yeah.
We're trying to learn and understand, and that's critical. And we would encourage the businesses, if they couldn't make it, because they got it like a postcard, we're going to have future. We might be going door to door on a few.
Yeah. Fair warning. We're coming.
Yeah, we're coming, and we want to hear from you, and we want to help where we can. We got to help each other.
That's what I think is so perfect about the Grandview Revitalization Project is we aren't coming in as a group and saying, oh, we think they need this down here and this and this and this. We're going to the people that live there, that work there, the businesses, and we're asking them, what do you want here? And then we are coming alongside them and trying to help them get what they need and want, instead of us trying to decide for them. And I think that's what's going to make this the success that I know it's going to be.
Yep. Because it's going to be great when it's done. And granted, it's not going to be done till the end of next year, next construction season. Yeah. But all of a sudden, when you start seeing, the streets and the sidewalks and stuff that start blending in and looking like what you see downtown, it's now part of the, of Muscatine and that flow. So it's going to be very welcoming, but we want to make sure everybody can make it, and we can make it help them, sort of dress up. What can we do to help your business? Yeah. One thing that came out, I think they might themselves start sort of a South End business group, because they don't have one like the downtown's always had a focus group. That came up at both sessions. So we'll see what they do with that. That won't be something we drive, but we could definitely support. And,
absolutely.
Facilitate.
Yep, absolutely.
So we kicked it off this week. We started.
Right. So what's our next pillar?
If you want to talk about residents briefly, we don't have a lot of activity except ongoing is the heart and soul surveys that you see around town. They did a lot during the summer. I know Jody's looking for some more help to get that word spread out and do some events. So again, the whole goal is to hear from residents as to what they need to help them. We've got a couple great resident volunteers on the group. Like Linda Hatfield's bringing some great ideas from her time with the South End area. And, they're not difficult or expensive. They're just gracious. and you know, adding pride back in. And I think that's one of the things that we can maybe try to help to do. That's not really expensive, but I mean, we still need to look at some programs to help. So, you know, we've got some things that we're tossing around that aren't finalized yet, but we've made initial conversations with like the Muscatine County Master Gardeners about maybe doing a garden in a box, sort of a kit this spring. And we need to reach out to vendors, and we're going to try to get a grant. And once we do that, then we'll come back to you, Mayor, with the program and sort of roll that out. Right now, it's sort of like in the baby stages.
Sure.
You know? But we're trying to figure out what can we do to help the residents. And again, that is definitely not on the street. There's some residents, but there's a lot more behind, and there's you know, getting a lot of good ideas. We just need more. And again, that's where getting feedback's important.
That's right. That's right.
And getting enthusiasm. Linda did share with us that the old Yard of the Month program really worked very well. But over time, you know, people sort of fell off like we all do.
Sure.
So in a way, I think we'd like to revitalize that and bring back maybe something similar. If you see someone with a beautiful yard, throw them a postcard. Tell them how much their yard brightened your day, or how pretty you think it looked.
And the Christmas season with decorating coming up, you know, that might be an opportunity also, you know, to highlight those folks that spend a lot of time making their yard look nice, and we all enjoy driving by them.
Yes.
So that's still got some growth going on, you know, especially around programs. But I know talking to the city administrator and Jody, I mean, we got some opportunities.
Yeah.
And we just have to decide where can we get some funds, what can we get that's matching, what can we do, like, so we'll keep you updated on that.
Absolutely. And the final pillar
is probably the one that has the least activity right now, just because it's the most difficult. And that would be economic development. Businesses, existing businesses, you know, we need to love and care and keep those guys going. But this would be new economic development. So we don't have anything new to report yet, Nadine. I'm not thinking, but it's top of mind.
And once again, asking the residents to fill out the heart and soul surveys so we can get their input. So it's not us deciding what we think you need. And I frequently have to remind folks, and I've done it a couple times this week, that these are private businesses that have to want to come here. You know, it's not up to the city to just put one here and one here and one here. The only way or reason they would come here is if they believe it would be financially profitable, because they're in the business to make money and survive like the rest of us. And so we have to present ourselves in such a way that they're convinced that they can turn a profit if they come here. And so all of these other pillars, don't you think, are feeding this one too?
Definitely could.
Definitely. I spoke with April yesterday, who is taking care of the Heart and Soul Project while we are looking for another intern. And she said she's getting more questionnaires from folks in Fourth Ward. And the themes are relatively the same. They want a grocery store. They want a Target. They want, you know, different things. And they need to know that we are looking at grocery, but it takes a while. And as you said, folks don't go into a place to lose money. They go in to try to do as well for themselves as they possibly can. And we all know that, especially if we have a 401k and the stock market goes kaput, we're all, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go get a job.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to balance the wants of folks with, you know, the cold, hard dollar reality of capitalism. People don't generally put down roots unless they're going to make money.
Yeah.
Well, and plus we need to understand what their perception is.
Yes.
Because everybody's like, I want a grocery store. Well, are you talking Walmart Hy-Vee, or are you talking an Aldi? or you're talking Main Street, or you're talking like Hy-Vee Dollar Fresh, which is new, or a fine regional mom and pop, you know, from some of our small towns. And do you require a pharmacy? Would you be switching pharmacies if you wanted that? So it's not as easy as I want a grocery store. It's everybody's perception. It might come down to I want some produce. I need some basic meats. I need some cold products like my dairy, you know, and some basic, you know, box. But what can we do? And is it can we do a co-op? Well, there's always a large startup cost, but we're brainstorming different things, but that's the toughest one.
It is.
We're working with the chamber, trying to say we need to, I think, be a little more aggressive with making the calls. We need to be hunters on this one instead of just answering questions.
Yes, we have to be the aggressor on moving forward.
Yeah. So that one's the toughest one. Nothing new to report there, but lots of conversation.
Yes.
You know, and I explained, I visited with some ladies this week about, you know, they were really pushing for Target and Kohl's. And I said, in conversations with Target and Kohl's over the years that I know have been held, is they don't think it's going to be a good win for them. And the reasons are they believe that the people from Muscatine are already shopping at their stores by going to Davenport or Iowa City. And so why would they want to build one here and spend millions of dollars when they're already getting our business? And I pointed out to them, you know, have you ever been to a store where they're asking you what your zip code is? That's what they're doing. They're seeing how far people are willing to come to shop in their stores. And so the likelihood of us getting a Target or Kohl's is extremely slim, if not zero. They have to have so much market to do this.
But our spending habits have changed too, because when they were having those conversations, we weren't shopping online as much.
Exactly. Now, so it's even diminished since then.
But you know, Target always had a common footprint, whether it was Target with groceries or just Target, but now they have the mini Targets.
That's true. So
you know, so things do change, but it's like you know, we've been looking at some possible software to look at that would help us understand the demographics and what the possibilities are. There's always a cost to that kind of software, but it might be worthwhile, not just for retail and groceries and stuff, but for other functions in town, you know, as we talk about other big events, you know, how do we draw people in? But so we're always talking, but you're right. If somebody doesn't step up too and become the entrepreneur, you know, or invest, or the big companies don't see the right demographics, they're all about numbers and metrics, then we're going to have a tough time. So, but we'll keep wishing and hoping and working. We got to chunk away at it.
Oh yeah, and I love your comments about maybe our impressions can be fine-tuned a little bit. You know, we might not end up with some big restaurant franchises that sometimes cost $1 million just for the name. But we love, you know, our Guadalajaras and, you know, all of our, you know, our Salvatales and our Guyana Grills, you know, we love those too. So it might not have one of those names that you can, you know, go from town to town to town and get, but I would stack some of our mom and pop restaurants up against any of those any day.
Right.
Certainly.
So sometimes our impressions can be changed a little bit too. So overall, we're on a positive forward. We're moving ahead. We have some really exciting stuff with the recreation, and the Reconstruction will be closing for the winter here in a couple months at least, I hope. Hopefully sooner than that. I know. But I'm glad to know that, you know, they've got a plan to get us through the winter. And they can still work on some things through the winter, but not everything.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Well, anything else we didn't talk about, Grandview?
Yeah, I
have
think
them getting involved. Who do we want them to call if people want to help?
I would recommend dropping us an email.
Okay.
Going out to the site and dropping us an email, whether it's Nadine, myself, you, Jody, anybody, because I think
Any
she
of
posts a lot
us.
of information. And just say, hey, I'd love to step up. Paul Neff the other day said he'd love to volunteer. And so I think we got a couple good business folks that we'll tap into. But the more, and maybe more as we get specific projects and say, okay, you don't have to be on the big team, but here's a little team and we can really use your help.
Absolutely, because it's taken a lot of hands. This is not a one-person job.
No.
And it's not an overnight job.
Nope.
2 years is a big project. And oh my goodness, if you counted everybody who's helping on this, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. But then you know what? It's going to belong to all of us and we're all going to love it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, very true.
Well, who knows what we have for an update next month, but we might have some more. Hopefully the recreation stuff will be all honed down and we can be able to share that a little bit more. We might have some more information on the residential. So I look forward every month to being able to share what our new updates are. And we didn't have one last month, so we got a double whammy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you both so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and we'll see you next month. Thanks to all of you for joining us on the Our City Show today. Next week, October 7th, my goodness, October 7th, we're going to have Tybee Vanderland, and she is our new Muscatine County Auditor. And you know, there's a lot of changes with voting this year, and we want to introduce her to everybody. Those of you who haven't been fortunate enough to meet her yet, she's doing amazing, but she is going to also talk to us about all the changes that we might need to know for the upcoming election season and share with us, you know, all of the things that the auditor's office do. I guarantee you they do a lot more than any of us think that they do.
Yes,
so
they do.
We'll be glad to visit with her. Big thanks to Nadine and Peggy for joining us today and for all they do on our behalf every day. Have a great rest of your week, and we hope to see you here next week on Our City.
Bye-bye.